Fusion Strike is almost here, and Mew Vmax is one of the most insane decks that we're going to have in the standard format. Let me tell you why. Welcome back to YouTube, everyone. My name is Rahul Reddy, and you are watching my channel. Hit that subscribe, hit that like button. Kyoto CL Champions League just finished up, and Mew Vmax was one of the most popular and best performing decks across the whole weekend. So let's talk about Fusion Strike and why all these cards are so good, and some of the decks you can play with our current standard format. So Fusion Arts is a set that's coming out very shortly here. I'm going to move my thing here so you can see the Mew Vmax. But right here, Mew Vmax, very cool card. So Fusion Strike is our set coming out on November 12th in America, which means we get a bunch of really fun new cards. And Mew Vmax is a card that I think is absolutely busted, broken, insane. So Fusion Strike, similar to Rapid and Single Strike, is another strike style, just tag, gnome, or whatever you want to call it. It's just it's an attribute to the card. So Cross Fusion, Mew's first attack, for double colorless energy, choose one of your benched Fusion Strike Pokemon's attacks and use it as this attack. Doesn't seem crazy at the moment, right? Let's look at the other Fusion Strike cards in a second. I'll get you guys there in one quick second. Just bear with me. Max Miracle, Psychic isn't affected by any effects on your opponent's active Pokemon. So Mew comes with a Shred effect. Deals really well with Zamazenta, Glaceon VMAX, all these big wall type Pokemon, even Duraludon, that could be really annoying to deal with. Now Mew VMAX has a lot of really cool arts as well. I'm a huge fan of these very beautiful cards. That's Mew VMAX. Now let's look at Mew V. We have to, what is going on here? We have to look at Mew V if we're going to look at Mew Vmax. Mew V has an attack energy mix. So your deck for an energy card attached to one of your Fusion Strike Pokemon, then shuffle your deck. It doesn't specify what kind of energy, nor does it say anything, in general. So going second with Mew V, you can accelerate an energy onto the board, and you pretty much are good to go. Side jump also, for a Psychic and a Color, so you do 70 and shuffle it into the deck. Now, we know that Mew Vmax can copy attacks on our bench. So if our Mew Vmax doesn't get one shot in any position, we can just shuffle that guy back into the deck to give ourselves a better, board state. So already off the bat, a very good card. Now, what makes all these Fusion Strike decks kind of gel all together? Genesect V. Now, this bad boy here has this ability, Fusion System. Once during your turn, you may draw cards until you have the same number of cards in your hand as Fusion Strike Pokemon in play. That is not relegated to one Genesect. That is relegated to as many Genesects as you have in play, you can use that ability. So if I have 6 Fusion Strike Pokemon on the board, I can go Genesect, fill my hand to 6, play some cards, Genesect, fill my hand to 6, play some cards, Genesect, fill my hand to 6, play some cards, Genesect, fill my hand. You get the gist. You get why this is absolutely broken yet, guys? Does this make sense to you? If it isn't, well, blah. Metal Colorless, Technoblast, 210. During your next turn, this Pokemon can't attack. 210 is a very, very hefty amount of damage for Mew to copy. 210 sets up 2 shots across the board, knocks out V Pokemon with a Vitality Band if we choose to play that card in the deck, which I think it should definitely make its way into the deck. So Technoblast is probably the attack we're going to be copying a majority of the time. Also, Genesect is number 69 in the Fusion Arts set, so can I get a nice in the comments below? If I don't see a nice, I hate you guys. That's it. Now, we also play Oricorio, because Oricorio has this Fervent Lesson ability. Your Fusion Strike Pokemon take 20 less damage from attacks from your opponent's Pokemon. You can't apply more than one Fervent Lesson ability at a time. So Oricorio does not stack, but it's a very strong ability just because 20 less damage does make a 2-shot into a 3-shot or a 1-shot into a 2-shot, and that really adds up over time, especially when Mew Vmax can shuffle itself back into the deck, and all the attacks only take 2 energies to attack with when you're copying our bench Pokemon, so it doesn't really make a big deal to it. Like, the 20 damage does add up over time, having a permanent Eviolite to all of your Fusion Strike Pokemon. Also, Intense Drop is a really good attack as well. If you're going to try to stick something in the active, buy some time, put 5 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon any way you like. You can buy some time, pull something into the active, and start peppering damage where you need to be. Now, there's a lot of really cool cards that were also debuted in Kyoto. I'm going to show some of the lists as well after we get into it. Obviously, these lists were in a Japanese format for Standard, which is a half of Team Up to current Standard. So they have some cards that we don't have and some metagame that they don't have, but the deck translates very well over, so we can take our first look at Fusion Strike cards. Alessa's Sparkle, not only is this a gorgeous supporter card, choose up to 2 of your Fusion Strike Pokemon. For each of those Pokemon, search your deck for a Fusion Energy and attach it to that Pokemon. So as a supporter, we're literally getting an acceleration onto 2 Mews if we want to, or even a Genesect and a Mew or something. And all of a sudden, our Mew Vmaxes can attack out of nowhere. And if we're shuffling a Mew Vmax back into the deck, it synergizes even better with Alessa's Sparkle to set up our attackers once again. Now, this does mean we can't attach 2 energy to the same Mew Vmax with the supporter card, so we need to have 1 attachment at the very least, very minimum, etc., etc. But this card is really, really insane. It's just, like, getting you going. Like, if you go first, by turn 2, you could have, like, 3 energy on the board, and you could be doing a lot of damage out of nowhere, which is, like, really nuts. So the supporter is very, very good. Now, there's the VIP Battle Pass. Again, every game is introducing a Battle Pass, so why not Pokemon as well? Which is ironic because Pokemon Live does have a Battle Pass. So, you can play this card on your first turn, search your deck for up to 2 basic Pokemon, put them on your bench, search your deck, or shuffle your deck. So it's basically just a free 2 basic Pokemon, search as an item. Yes, there's like, it can only be used when going first, and it is an item card. But think about just getting 2 Genesects. That's literally you're getting your whole draw engine, or a Genesect and a Mew, simply using Battle VIP Pass. Now, I'll explain why this is so good in a second when you see the lists that happen in Kyoto, and I think that can be mirrored very easily into our current standard format, so bear with me for a second. This card is very good. The last Fusion Strike card that is very, very important, one of the last 2, obviously, is Latias. Latias has the ability Red Assist. Once during your turn, you may attach a Psychic Energy from your hand to one of your Latios. Doesn't matter. We're not playing Latios. Latios kind of blows. But Dyna Barrier is an attack we can copy during your opponent's next turn, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from Pokemon Vmax. So in the mirror match, in certain situations, we can just do a strict 70 and force them to use a Shred attack that does less damage to us, etc. Or we can just do 70 damage to something like, I don't know, Eternatus, Rapid Strike Urshifu, etc. Force decks to play Phoebe. And if they don't play Phoebe, or they don't boss in that particular turn, we could just keep Dyna Barrier until we're ready to start one-shotting with our 210 damage. Meloetta is the last most important Fusion Strike card that I want to talk about that was in the mainstay of these decks. Meloetta has Melodious Echo, Psychic, colorless, 70 times the number of each fusion energy attached to all of your Pokemon. So that is 280 at max, which is a 70 more damage than our existing 210 from Genesect. So it makes it easier to one-shot certain things. This card was not seen too much across the tournament, which I understand why. It's just simply a really hard gimmick to pull off. So it is something that if you center your deck around the Meloetta, or even play 1 copy of Meloetta just to splash in somewhere, can be very good, because Mew Vmax can copy it. So by like turn 3, you're hitting for 210 off the back of Meloetta, and maybe by turn 4, Meloetta can be that 1 prize attacker that you can Alessa's Sparkle onto, attach an energy from your hand, bring it into the active, and it's a 1 prize card that can kind of mitigate the prize trade in a weird way, because you can play like a 3-2-3 or like a 3-1-3 prize game using Mew Vmax and kind of make that 7 prize or 8 prize game still viable in the current standard format. Now, here is I'm going to move my camera once again because it is in the way. Here is the top 4 list from Masters. I believe this was top 4. So, immediate notability, we see that there's 4 max copies of 4 Mew and Genesect. We want to find those guys as quickly as possible. They do have Dedenne, but that Dedenne can be easily replaced with a Crobat, or some other way to draw cards in our standard format. Latios, and the Oricorio are very obvious. They have a Marshadow to bump stadiums like Path to the Peak, because Path to the Peak can hurt a lot for Genesect specifically. Now, Mew Vmax is not an ability, but an attack, so it is much, much better than just getting stuck behind a path. But we would play counter stadiums in that slot. I haven't decided what counter stadium would be necessarily really good in the standard format. I was thinking something like an Old Cemetery, or I don't know. I don't even know what stadiums are good, honestly. But Old Cemetery seems pretty good off the bat of like my head. 4 Quick Ball, 4 Fog Crystal. Now these decks can abuse Fog Crystal to get Psychic Energy and the Baby Mew, which is pretty insane, as well as using Quick Ball to grab Genesect. So you already have an insane amount of search cards. I think it's a must have. You can play a couple of Evo Incense, obviously. These lists still had Pokemon Communication, or at least some of them did. This one in particular that we're looking at does not. But Evolution Incense is definitely a very good card. There's the Battle VIP Pass that we were talking about. Just a one-off copy. Very easy to find. I'll explain to you why it's very easy to find in a second. 2 switch, 1 rope. Just simple. This guy did end up playing the 4 copies of the Guzma effect. If you play 2 at the same time, you can gust up an effect. Not necessarily needed. Could be a little bit of a gimmick. I'll explain what some cards I think are better, including just a simple raw Pokemon catcher. 1 copy of Vitality Band to hit 220 on certain V Pokemon. 4 copies of the Pez Dispensers. This does plus 30 damage. When you attack with Fusion Strike, it's like an Electro Power, very strong. Gets you those numbers that you need to get to, especially to 1-shot a VMAX or something across the board, or 2-shot a VMAX. 1 Reset Stamp. This is obviously not something we have in our format, so Morny is probably going to have to take its place. Peony. Now, this card is what makes the deck kind of really, really good, because Peony lets you discard your whole hand and get any 2 item cards and put them in your hand. Now, this means on like turn 1 or something, you can grab the Battle Pass, grab the Fog Crystal, which means you can get a Mew, a Genesect, and an attachment, and then you can refill your hand with the Genesect. So this means you can dump a lot of those cards that are not doing anything for you in the mid to late game. And all of a sudden, Peony just lets you like pitch your hand and draw some more cards. It's like a better research, theoretically, just because you have all of like Genesect to draw you cards. Now, this does get a little bit, and it also is a way to... let me look up Peony real quick again. I want to make sure I'm not misspeaking on the card. it's just 2 trainer cards, right? So it's like it can also be stadiums to counterbalance the path to the peak. So I think that's also where it gets really, really strong in terms of what it does for the deck. Now, this person played Red's Challenge, which is not legal, obviously, in our standard format, but it's a similar discard effect that can benefit off the back of Genesect refilling your hand. And you don't feel too bad for discarding certain resources in this deck because there's so many extra copies of cards. 2 Boss's Orders and 1 Alessa's Sparkle. Now, I think that 2 Alessa's Sparkle, 2 to 3 is probably very staple going into the standard format, moving into our standard format, just because of how broken it is in terms of just powering up your board. 1 Path to the Peak. I don't really know why they have their own path, presumably just to, I don't know, block, like, just deal with a Zamazenta in 1 turn if need be, or kind of stifle the mirror match, potentially, and then 2 Chaotic Swells, which we don't have as well. So obviously these slots will become something more stadium-related. There's the 4 Fusion Strike energies. They had Weakness Guard energies, but these can become Capture energies very, very easily, because a Capture energy now just simply means we get to draw some more cards with Genesect, or grab another Mew. Like, Genesect is the lifeblood of the deck, like I mentioned a couple times, and we can up our Psychic Energy count as well to make it easier. Now, Mew's weakness is Darkness typing, which means Eternatus and Gengar Vmax are both going to be a little bit of a problem, as well as Umbreon Vmax. So maybe there is merit to playing more Psychic Energy to find them with the Fog Crystal, or a way to deal with Umbreon. I don't know if we have a way to deal with Umbreon right now in this deck, besides the Latias, but they can also just, I don't know, use the baby Umbreon to one-shot us, which is not good. So the Meloetta that's where the Meloetta comes into handy if we play that card, to simply one-shot return the Umbreon, kind of play that one-shot game a little bit with our Pez dispensers as well. Obviously, we can't recycle the fusion energies, which is a little bit of a bummer, but we can make something happen. This is a list that got top 16, I believe. Now, the main differences we see from that list to this list is that there is Great Balls in this list, so another item that can search more Pokemon. There's a higher copy count of Alessa's Sparkle. Only 2 fusion energies with the 2 Alessa's Sparkle, which like is a little bit counterintuitive to me personally. I think at least you would do like 3 minimum. And I don't know why you wouldn't max just a 4 of this, because you're already playing 2 of the supporter that gets it for you. But to each their own, I guess. And there is 3 copies of Catcher, which, I mean, it's pretty insane. Like, Catcher's pretty insane. Also, I forgot to mention that Mew has Free Retreat. Did I mention that? Mew has Free Retreat, so you can just reset your attack very easily with the switch. So should have mentioned that while we were there. So this list had played the Catcher, is very interesting. And then this one, who finished 7-2 but did not top cut, ended up playing a one-of copy of Fighting Energy and Aurora Energies to utilize the Genesect better, as well as using Zapdos. And there's a Tool Jammer in here. There's the Gust cards. But crucially, there's a lot of Peony Engine. There's a lot of Research Engine. So if you guys are investing in cards, Peony, this is a good time to invest in Peony. Make sure you got your Peonies, because I think this card's going to be very, very good. And an Ordinary Rod to recycle some of these pieces that are going to hit the discard. But so far, the cores are very simple of the decks. You can see where the cores excel of the Fusion Strike deck. So if you guys are thinking about a new deck that pretty much plays itself, I think Fusion Strike is pretty insane and has really good typing into the metagame. And so some other cards that I want to talk about that are really good in the Fusion Strike type styling is Cram-O-Matic is one. You may discard an item card from your hand to play this card, flip a coin if heads, search it for any card and put it in your hand. It's a literal computer search for discarding an item. And you can also thin your hand and use Genesect to put some more cards in your hand. So you can Cram-O-Matic for a boss. You can Cram-O-Matic for any item you need. Like, I love this card. I just think this card is really, really good. I saw it played on stream once yesterday. I really, really loved it. Now, Toxicity also exists, which has Max Downer. If all your Pokemon in play are Fusion Strike, your opponent's VMAX Pokemon get minus 30 HP. So this card could be very, very good at just making one-shots easier. This could be the answer into Umbreon to kind of trade the 3 prize for 3 prize knockout. But if they use the baby Umbreon, you kind of just can't win the game, I think. Yeah, it's a little bit tougher. But the Toxicity is very good at just giving you that angle. Of course, it is a stage 1, so it will eat up a little more slots in the deck. So from the list that we've already seen, you can kind of flesh that out and see how you feel about removing certain cards and slotting in maybe a 2/2 Toxicity or something. The attack Headbolt is not worth copying whatsoever. So there's also a Gorbis that has Rapid Strike Cancel. Your opponent's Rapid Strike Pokemon in play have no abilities. So this could be very, very crucial if you care about Rapid Strike. But I think Rapid Strike is already a very, very favorable matchup, especially if your Mew gets jumped on with a Snipe. You can just shuffle it back into the deck. And if Urshifu is playing Moltres, then you have to figure out a way to deal with that. But I think it's not that difficult, honestly. But I think this attack our ability is really, really good. But I think this one's better here, Huntail. Your opponent's single strike attacks cost 1 colorless more. So this could be even better for you against something like Umbreon, something like the Urshifu Vmax. Obviously, if they put the Urshifu Vmax down, it should be very, very favored for you. Anyway, but this could give you a better fighting chance into something like Umbreon. I think Eternatus is probably a lost cause, and I think Gengar is probably a lost cause. For Eternatus, you could slot in for both. For both, you could put in a Zapdos. If you think it's worth, you can put in a Zapdos V, put in a fighting, and try to make that your combination of choice to kind of cheese them out of a game. So there's ways to deal with those. Umbreon does not have the typing weakness that we want. And the last and final card to deal maybe with Umbreon, I was thinking, is Ninja Tornado. If this Pokemon moved from your bench to your active this turn, this attack can be used for a grass energy. I guess that does enough damage with a Pez dispenser to one-shot an Umbreon. But again, this is a little bit of a bigger setup card, and if Umbreon is really the biggest problem for us in this, I don't understand what this Raticate video is just going. It will be one of the better cards. So that being said, that was your Fusion Strike summary video. I hope you guys are ready for Fusion Strike. The first look at Mew Vmax, and if you guys enjoy content like this, let me know in the comments below how I can do more primers for new archetypes coming out. A little bit of a first look before we even dive into some lists of our own. A little bit of things you guys should be looking forward to and why certain cards are good like this. I think it's really cool to break these things down. And obviously, if you're enjoying the content, like, subscribe. You know the dealio. I appreciate all the support as always. And I'm going to continue with the little shorts educational series on my days off from main videos. So see you guys on Wednesday for the main video and Tuesday for shorts.